stuff, kind of like calm down a little bit. Still very afraid, but fear keeps you alive. So I'm going to go over a little bit darker topics and probably talk about some things that have been sitting in my life for long periods of time without me acknowledging them. I'm just kind of hard pressed to like find friends, because I have friends and they're always what I want. Not to say that they're not doing what I want, but they don't really share the same opinions that I do. And I think the reason why they don't share the same opinions that I do is because they were brought up different in some ways. Awesome. Also, they were kind of fucked, I guess. They were mean to people and stuff. And also, they don't tell people their deepest, darkest fucking secrets, because that's what they thought therapy was. They thought therapy was hiding those secrets so they could constantly keep doing the things they were doing. That's why I currently don't like my friends. Currently, I'm just not hanging out with them. They're here, but I'm not going to hang out with them because I'm going to have to be subjected to their opinions on everything that I am, or everything that they are. And obviously, they're the main character in their own story, so. Because they watch a lot of really fictional, really stupid shit. I would notice too, sometimes their metaphors don't quite hit with me, you know, I know sometimes that people, they just decide, they judge people with no given pre-notion of a thing. I'll be like, I like metal, but I'm not obsessed with metal, you know, I'm not like them. They're obsessed with their art, and they do some prejudgments sometimes every once in a while. They say, oh, you found a new band, awesome, you're great, you're amazing, and they're just like, but you're not a metalhead. I'm just like, okay, noted. I'm an eclectic. I'm a true eclectic, actually. Not a metalhead. I do like the guttural sounds and stuff like that of screamo and metal and metalcore and all those other different things. Heavy metal sometimes, because I like the melodic beats and the slow ballads sometimes, because that's what defines sometimes metalcore. And they don't really understand that I realize the foundations of music and the reasons why certain foundations are made afterwards, while others were made before. 720, nice. 3060. I don't know, just as a point, it's not the metal though that I think they're actually doing things. They just try to be the loner, you know. That's the point. Is they're trying to be alone. They're trying to be alone, you know. Like in their what is it? Depression. That's very that's very stupid, I guess, to be just covered in evil and dark thoughts and stuff like that. That's why I call this the darker version, because we're gonna go over that stuff. And the fact that I have darker thoughts too is, well, that I have to go over and understand that I like things that are dark because they show a certain side of someone that would normally find things to be completely and utterly just disgusting. But take that and then realize that's the point, is that's kind of like the, sometimes I was subject to that. To women who were not attractive per se, but that's kind of what I was subject to sometimes. Whenever I was understandably kind of around certain people, they weren't traditionally attractive, and that's kind of what turned me on as when I was later on or earlier, things like that, in different parts of my life. But I liked good people, and I thought that people were good, and sometimes that's not the case. And even what I have to do is reevaluate what I'm actually doing myself. The reason why people are mean in some ways disheartening and hurtful, and the reasons why I have to kind of go into what I'm gonna do to be able to fix my life. And I'm not talking about other people's lives in my life. The reason why I'm gonna try to fix it is because I have nothing else to do. I'm also bored. I'm like not really kind of feeling emotion on it. So let's try. I noticed that a lot of times there were people that decided that they were gonna be a certain thing around me or try to give off some sort of air of like a ladies' man or some shit or whatever or something. But then they would lose their fucking shit sometimes, and then they would still try to be that same person around me, and then understand they were more confident than me or some shit. And I hated it. I fucking hated it. And the point is too is like we fucked around with the same girls, so it's like I don't know. It was okay. The girls obviously took that like guttural thought of like, well, he's a little dark. Oh my gosh, he's got a couple of things that are messing with him. It's pretty interesting. I don't really know if that makes you an interesting person. It makes you people pay attention to you when you're saying a dark story. And I realized that me and my trauma and a bunch of different shit that happened to me and the reasons why I stayed quiet about it for so long was because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the people around me. I didn't understand the reasons why it happened. I understood that my stepbrother was literally there when it happened, and I blame him sometimes. I blame him a lot. I'm my older stepbrother, not my younger stepbrother. My older stepbrother knew about it. He was the one who was basically just smoking weed there, and then I was the one that got hit on by some fat chick that was 30 years old when I was 15, and he just decided to not tell anyone. And it tells you like a lot of reasons why I didn't really trust or understand where my dad was coming from, moving to Mississippi and different places like that, to trailer parks where he thought that good people. I was going to Europe. I'm talking about certain things that happened and like the backstory of that in my life. I'm trying to wondering, like questioning certain things in my life now, and like I said, I question everything, even myself. In certain situations, my own attitude towards people, in certain times of abuse, in certain times of that, and I didn't have a really good relationship with my stepbrothers after until my dad kind of like, I don't know, I guess I met the point where he wasn't moving a lot, so it just met the point where he wasn't doing a lot of stuff, you know, and that's when I think he kind of calmed down and he realized that he was kind of being irresponsible sometimes, and like teaching the wrong message or the wrong example. He kind of told us that what was happening is he was kind of giving up, I guess, because of the diagnosis that he had gotten when he was about 35 to 38, I guess, and he just didn't care, I guess. He just didn't think that it was much more important than his own heart giving out, basically. And in some ways it's not, but that's the point, is he had to realize that he was still a parent. And my mom was the only person that ever actually understood or recognized that she was still taking care of kids, and they still needed examples and ways to go do things, no matter if they were terrible examples or wrong examples, but that she gave some examples. And my dad tried to be nice to my nieces and all that other different stuff, and I never trusted my dad a lot. I loved my dad, but I looked in books to be able to figure things out a lot. I studied a lot, and I studied a bunch of different subjects, and to understand my trauma and understand where it came from, and I started to understand it when I started to turn about 22 or 23, and then that's what happens sometimes, is you don't realize the people that you're hanging around are traumatic, or being traumatic, or understanding that they're using because the abuse that they felt when they were younger, or at certain times in their life, they just didn't think that they were like transferring that abuse, and then didn't realize that the ways that they thought doing things, the ways that they thought about things, they did things, the ways they viewed other people sometimes was like as sort of like a nuisance, and nuisance to what you were trying to do, to what he was trying to do, or what they were trying to do. I'm not trying to give out any names or anything like that, but this person is very, very physical. He likes to say things that are stupid and very dumb. Some to women sometimes, and sometimes at some point he's going to get canceled for it, or told not to be able to hang out with certain people, no matter who they are, no matter what they do. Basically, I'm just saying that his heyday is coming to an end, and that's what the point is he's realizing that he has a kid now, and he has responsibilities, but he still tries to live that life, that life that oh, chicks are just fucking cool and fucking shit like that, what the hell is that sort of thing. And that's the same kind of experience that I had. A bunch of kids that were in my neighborhood, they were like, oh, what was that? Shit like that. They wouldn't actually mean it, though. They were actually kind of like, they were actually closeted and introverts sometimes, and they would do that as a joke. But one of my friends always decided that he was completely serious about it. Started getting very, very, very stupid and very dumb, and it affected his friends in very wrong ways a lot, and those affected other people. Not to say that he was the center of everything, but he definitely didn't help. So I realized that a lot of times there were girls that were kind of set up to meet me, I guess, and then that kind of like turned me off of them. You know, I realized that they were like set up to like me and shit like that. Like either parents were involved or someone was involved that like thought I needed to get laid or some shit like that. I didn't get laid at that point. I just sometimes walked off from people who would like, or I would immediately say my feelings, you know, because I think that's where my at my core what I am really is. The reason why I fuck things up is because I assume that women aren't really attracted to me. I assume that women are being manipulated in some way to be able to be attracted to me in some way. I assume that there are no people out there that are like me, because I don't want anyone to be like me. I don't want anyone to be an abuser or understand that they abused because they got abused and then couldn't tell anyone, and that's the only reason, or because I wasn't watched enough, and I had to take responsibility of my entire life when I was 15, and it's the first year I got a job, the first year I wanted a job, the first year I wanted to get out of the house, start doing something different, because I thought that because of my hurt and hate for myself, because of my reaction to it, I wound up almost killing myself in 2008. I jumped into the river and I was high on Adderall. I was thought to have ADHD, and I didn't. And I made up stories in my own head about what I was actually going to do and why I was actually going to do it, to basically fool myself into literally giving myself a fucking buttload of Adderall. They didn't know how much was inside my bloodstream, but they thought that they would just put saline in, and it worked, and it helped. And I went to a psych ward afterwards, and that was the first time I went to a psych ward. I cried because I didn't know it even existed. I didn't even know what happened, but all I saw was my mom standing in the hallway, and she just looked down at me for no reason, and I thought that I had somehow ruined, I guess, my entire family's lives. Not only just educationally or anything like that, but like I thought for sure that I was literally disowned. And probably I don't really know exactly what happens with that stuff, but I do know that I was put on a 72-hour hold, so it wasn't that bad. I got to meet some people that were very stupid and very dumb, and they were going through some of the same problems that I was going through. Some of them were, but some of them weren't. Some of them were staying there because it was on their insurance, and they were able to stay there because they were homeless sometimes. Some people were staying there because they were sick. Some people were staying there because they were sick in their mind. Some people were staying there because they were just old and like hurt. They hurt a lot. And all I remember is these two girls sitting next to me, and I don't know, it was really weird, I guess. They started talking to each other about something that didn't mean anything, I guess. I don't know what it is. It's just like, and to me, it's just like cultish bullshit, you know? Like, I know that there's a cult that actually runs stupid shit in New Orleans, and the reason why there's no Amber Alerts here. It's really weird that I don't get any Amber Alerts on my phone, and every single time I go to another place, there's always an Amber Alert everywhere. There's always some kid that's being kidnapped. So the point is that it's happening here, but it's not being documented, and that's the reason why. Is there's a strange occult, and they are either controlling the fact that they don't like Amber Alerts or some shit like that, or they just don't want people to panic, so they don't share them. It's really weird that every other goddamn state shares Amber Alerts and we don't. And yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't get it whatsoever. I don't understand it. I don't know why. I just understand that they're stupid and they do stupid things, I guess. Maybe it has to be the point where it's like they're counties, I guess, and they share those things all the time. I don't know. But there are certain things that make it seem like there's all some sort of occultist behind it that are literally just completely kidnapping kids and kidnapping adults and putting them into sex slavery or a bunch of different shit that people are doing that you find out about. I guess my mom wanted to save me, I guess, if she was trying to manipulate me in some way. I'm guessing that she was trying to do that. That's what my logical mind goes towards, but I'm sure there's other things that are involved and things that are not so savory, seeing as how she doesn't really talk to her family, except for her sisters, and one of her sisters is actually passed, so. I don't know, there's got to be something there. And there's got to be something about something. Certain agreements that certain families have. The reason why they won't actually say things that actually happen sometimes on the news is because they don't want to send the wrong message to people who are in a place that's tourism. I think that's probably the bigger reason why people don't realize that's the reason maybe why they don't put Amber Alerts out, and they don't realize that. They just believe and assume that people are just like what is it? Either in cahoots with them or just don't want to say anything because they're too afraid. And that's the point with phones. Like, you can't tell that another person is called 911 unless you break into their phone and work on phone records that are completely and utterly confidential. Like, you can't tell. They can't tell if you called 911 most of the time. Like, that's not. And if you delete it from your history, it's gone forever most of the time, unless they pull it up in court proceedings, and they usually don't. So, shit. Well, that's, I guess, what I'm trying to find out is if there are any occultists that literally sacrifice children around New Orleans or around different places because of voodoo and certain different people believing in certain things, their third child on the third day of the third month or some shit. Just that shit, trying to find out if there's people that are actually doing that, and then hopefully they die of something very, very painful and slow. I mean, not too slow, obviously, they want to die and then. But I'm guessing that there is a large conspiracy theory among New Orleans people that there are pedophilic priests and pastors in the vicinity of New Orleans, and they get out of jail on a regular basis. They're just certain conspiracy theories that I've heard of. So. And yeah, there are a lot of dudes that actually do that, and the reason why I find that that it's too much to be able to just like bring somebody to jail, because there's always one that's going to pop up again, and you don't really know. And now that's a huge goddamn glitch. Goddamn, that's an awesome line though. Yeah. The point is that I believe that there are ancient civilizations pretty much everywhere that people have killed off or things like that, and that is another reason why I'm just very sus. Was it it seems very suspicious that a lot of different other countries have done the exact same things that America did. That there were natives living there and they taxed them until they left or until they died. And that's kind of what happened in France and Germany and a bunch of different places, and Russia and a lot of different places. There are civilizations that went missing, and everybody's like, I just don't know what happened. But no, you decided that their religion wasn't good enough for you, and then you decided to either tax them or kill them off one by one. I don't know. You decided to be whatever, a renegade or something like that. But the person that actually did that doesn't really know that was that. They were just doing a job for a country because they're being patriotic. And that's what nationalism for me it actually turns into sometimes, that I don't really understand. That's the reason why I wasn't in the military. That's the reason why I don't really want to kill people who they view as terrorists. Didn't want to understand whether or not Osama bin Laden did that, because he didn't. He really didn't. He may have inspired someone to do it, but he didn't do it. Because he was still alive when they caught him. And they shot him in the head twice. Just so he wouldn't be able to tell other people who were connected to the actual American government where that insurance scam went. We got him. Good job, guys. Awesome. And then also you got to be able to cover up all the shit that you did beforehand to be able to get to him. Because you probably set up the insurance scam as itself. You set up the actual op. And then that op turned into a terrorist attack because Osama bin Laden tried to go get Osama bin Laden, the people who were being taken hostage with box cutters, I guess. I don't know, they were really fucking good with box cutters or something. And what's really fucked up is I saw, like, I don't know what it was. It was this, like, building that was, like, probably a part of 9/11. But it was this weird figure just standing at the edge of the, did anybody notice that shit? Like, there were, like, videos about it and stuff like that. There were, like, it was this weird figure that just, like, didn't have any features. Like, it was like, he was really tall, it looked like. But he just didn't have any features, and it was really weird to me. Like, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it at all. I didn't really get it whatsoever, but I got to the point where, like, they had a close up of the actual building burning, and there were, it really looked like an alien. He kind of looked like an alien a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. There are a bunch of different conspiracy theories that have validity in some occultist ways. I mean, obviously, it's voodoo in New Orleans because voodoo is the way that things go, and voodoo resurrection, drink your fucking goddamn drink or whatever, the fucking stupid shit. Goddamn elitist dumbassness that is just like, oh my god. Yeah, it's just dumb bullshit. It's just touristy, crappy. That fucking place was not there a long time ago. There was no fucking past hidden, and they want to hide the past too, because a lot of different people in New Orleans who were in jazz probably believed in some voodoo or some curses, or at least karma to begin with. And then the problems is the parents were promoting that little karma, and I guess also the reason why a lot of times people don't realize is that they probably had a lot of different ideals in black whatchamacallit, and just like a lot of deals, they have a lot of secrets. So I don't believe that anything that anyone needs to understand is that systemic racism was put there to be able to protect what they thought white people were, because they thought that black people were murderous and rampage and savages. But the point is that both sides are murderous, rampaging, etc. savages, and no one is safe from their own goddamn hubris. That's the point that I'm saying. Is the real reason why you should be progressive and inclusive is because understand that kids that are descendants of the people who had the bullshit in their lives and the fucked upness and the occultness, those are the kids that believe that certain things are certain ways because their parents said so. So just realize where it's actually coming from. Understand where racism and a lot of different things are even put this fear of something that someone else doesn't know. It's fear. It's based in homicidal and suicidal thoughts. Obviously, awesome. Because it is. It's based in homicidal and suicidal thoughts. But there's a reason behind it. There's always a reason behind systemic racism. If there's systemic racism, then there's also families on the opposite side doing occultist things, and also families on that same side doing occultist things that people don't really want to acknowledge, is the fact that there are certain people who are presidents that believe that a certain tree of life would give them something. And they also had private things where they would take advantage, or they would do something terrible. Because they didn't want to tell anybody those parts, is because they would either sacrifice a goat or a sheep or something like that, and then like indoors somebody would realize that they were doing something terrible to people, and then they would lose their office. They wouldn't go for a second term or anything like that. It was like, oh, it's just like karma's a bitch, man. And it's like, if it's like, no, there's a lot of people that are just shitty. It's karma's not a bitch. Karma was a stripper that I met, and she was actually a really nice person, and she wasn't the actual karma. So that's funny. That's the reason why I say that, because I don't believe in karma. I believe that people decidedly guilt trip themselves into destroying other people that they believe are terrible, and then what they do and understand is the people who took out those people, or how they hired to do those things, like their family or their friends or some hitman out there, is probably even more terrible than the person that they hired. The person that they hired is even more terrible than the person that person is going to kill. So yeah, there's this all occultists fighting occultists, and people are like, oh, I'll take care of it. We will keep you safe. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. The only thing that's actually going to keep me safe is the fact that I have a lighter in my pocket and I know how to use it to be able to break someone's nose. Or the fact that I know to be able to run away from a gun, you have to go around the corner or go around something to make sure they have to jump around you, or they jump around and you move in and then go around the corner again and then have them completely try to shoot at you again. Over and over and over. Until they run out of bullets, and then you can beat the shit out of them. If you're bigger than them, if you're smaller than them, you can still probably beat their ass, because they're using a gun. Because it means either they don't know how to fight or they don't want to fight, depending on the two. If they know tactics, then obviously you're going to lose. But that's the point. That's the reason why they're using a gun sometimes, is because they don't know the tactics. So, or they've been to a fucking range once, and they thought they knew how to use it because they, like, yeah. When I was at 22, when I was, when I was like 17 or 18, yeah. Well, made sure not to give us guns too early because obviously we shouldn't want them ingraining our entire life around them and using them as stepping stones to be able to tell people that we're actually badass or some shit. Because guns don't make you badass. Using guns is make you badass. Using guns to ruin terrible people's lives and then don't get a reward, that's badass. Not care about the reward, just care there's one less terrible people in the world, or person in the world. That's badass. That's badass. And there's something that I don't think I could do. But you know what? Who knows? Things change. But yes, I believe that there is some sort of occultist bullshit that's happening that's currently making about to make headlines soon. I guess there are certain people that believe in certain occult things, like they believe that if they suck from the nipple of the young boys or some shit, then they're gained eternal life or some shit like that. And it's actually the reason why a lot of people don't realize that the TikTok dude that was talking about how the language changed from the King James Bible version, and they actually misrepresented a certain word, and then they misrepresented a certain word, and that word was translated to mean gays, but also it did not also mean, it meant men who lay with children, or people who lay with children. So, yeah. So that's what it actually means. And then that's the reason why the big question is, why do we trust churches at all with our lives at all to begin with? Sometimes they are occultist freaks who like to say things that don't mean anything, and they use prayers that are 1,600 years old, and yet somehow they still have been able to make those little prayers and things their goddamn source of money by blessing things. How's it going? I'm talking about occultist things that are happening in New Orleans right now, and a news story that's probably going to be very soon, I guess. If you haven't heard about it, there were 19 kids that were rescued from a sexual trafficking regime, or there was a bunch of people that were arrested as well. I'm guessing because of people who were rescued, and also that's the reason why there are a lot of different people who probably are going to be going to jail soon. Or some people who have already snitched on other people, and there's going to be a huge news story about it. I'm kind of just elaborating, but not exactly, because I know that there was always something wrong with certain people in the city that were doing some really fucked up things sometimes. Or maybe just the country's breaking down and nobody just doesn't even understand it. I guess I don't know what's going on, but. What I can tell you, as I know what's going on with certain people in the area, older people are starting to get more and more isolated, and they start to realize that they have secrets that people want to know. That's the reason why I'm sort of betting that there are a lot of different churches that are going to shut down too, and will just be landmarks. That will never be open, ever again. I'm guessing that's the reason why there'll just be caretakers, and those caretakers will be constantly and always psychologically evaluated. Pope is losing his reign too as well. He's starting to lose a bunch of different shit. He's popping up in more and more memes about how he decided to forgive a bunch of different people for or apologize for all the sexual abuse. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't make one blanket statement about 2,000 years of children being touched in the penis or the vagina, and you're going to tell me that yeah, okay, all right, one apology is going to make sure all that. He apologized to the gays too, I guess, even though the entire Bible says that like that's the reason why he said he's sorry, because yeah, it was a misprint. It was a it was a misprint. It was totally a misprint. And then that's the reason why all of the gays got completely, I don't know, these ritually sacrificed and shit by people who were either Satanists or non-Satanists. And what's really weird sometimes is like, oh man, you wonder why people are even not in religion sometimes. You just know them to be terrible people. You know them to be terrible people, and why they're not in religion, why they're not actually reading the Bible, because the Bible is full of rape and murder and terrible things. They should be excited, but no, they want their own version of that. I guess they want something to write about them or something, because they're just little serial killers in training. Like I said, if you want to get into the dark versions of every single little thing, I can tell you almost all of it. But I'm going to tell you that it's probably not going to exist after a few different things. And also, I'm going to tell you this one thing too, is that even though people decidedly say that, oh my god, that's the reason why I stayed to myself, and I only smoke weed from this one fucking dude, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, you know that a lot of crime officers, I'm talking about things that are happening, that have happened in New Orleans, and has happened again. Is my dad actually, when he's about, let's see, like 8 years old, he embezzled money by stealing it from a dude who was pedophilic, who had pictures of a bunch of different boys in his room and in a bunch of different places that he was at. What was it? Let's see, it was $45,000 that, or $25,000 probably, I'm thinking. And he took an entire church youth group to a baseball game. Yeah, he did. It was funny, and he did it in Chicago. So, if you ever want to look it up, it's probably there in the Library of Chicago, and nowhere else, because obviously they want to keep stuff like that under wraps. When my dad, when he was 8 in the French Quarter, decided to start selling weed. So I don't know. There's a reason why I know this stuff. There's a reason why my dad was a nice person. There's also the reason why I didn't trust him sometimes, because he still had dudes that were addicted to a bunch of different substances. I loved him a lot. I really did. I really did love him a lot. I knew he was a good guy, but I also knew that he had bad habits. And I knew that he wouldn't have friends with bad habits if he didn't have bad habits. Yeah, so that's the reason why I didn't trust him a lot with certain things that I was saying, or certain things that I was feeling, or understanding that there were a lot of people who were just really, really shitty around. So this is a darker edition of the July 5th imminent diagnosis, or impending diagnosis. I'm currently getting psych eval again to see if I need to take certain medications, or if I'm overtaking or undertaking them. Got my labs done, and I'm currently probably hoping that I'm not going to have to take some medications now, but because it puts me to sleep every single time, and I don't know why. Like, all of it. Like, the point is, it puts me to sleep. I try to eat food, and then I'm like I can only know when I'm supposed to eat food with these things, and then I try to eat food, and then I eat more food, and then I don't know. It's okay. But it's not exactly a side effect. I'm a fat boy. I love food, so so it's not really that big of a deal. I'm afraid a lot. I'm really afraid for people in my friend group sometimes that are like manipulated by these people that are just really shitty, just really, really shitty, and I hope that someday they'll realize that they were almost, that you should have seen the curse that flew right by you, sort of thing. Until they put themselves in a situation where I can't help them, or the fact that they're just like completely out there, and I'm like, I can't be there, I can't go there, and they're like, oh, you're a bad friend. I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna put myself out there. Sorry, it's an accident. It's just like, yeah, it's like, that's the reason why I'm not gonna do it. 540 baby, woo, that's what I was waiting for. Oh, whatever. There are certain things that people decide in certain friend groups and stuff like that, and they come up with little lies to be able to hint towards something, towards someone else, but don't really understand that I know already, and I've seen it, I've understood it, I know it, and I've heard it too. from the people who are just pissed at people. Or I hear different distinct chatter sometimes from people who are just really dumb and think that I don't know. And they think that they could fool me into believing something else. Like they think that somehow they could really like do things that are evil and fucked up, and then say that they're the victim of something. And the point is, I'd probably be a lot more evil than them, because I'd take some people out that were doing some terrible things to them, and understanding that they themselves were not the abusers nor the instigators of those things. Because I have to figure out and understand it fully, because that's what I have to do. Before I make a decision, before I make an action or anything like that, I have to confirm and confirm and confirm. Triple confirm. Triple confirm. You never know when somebody's going to pick up a knife and run at you because of the trauma that they've been through, and all that other different stuff. And be like, death to you, and I like my God, whatever. And then you're like, I gotta shoot you in the face with an arrow. And they never dodge. They never dodge. They always think that their God's going to protect them. It sucks. It really sucks. You can't. I don't know. I've had weird fantasies and stuff like that about taking out terrible occultists and shit. Just being the person that just like fucking murders them and then finds all that buried treasure and then gives it to the proper authorities. Because I don't give a shit about the actual treasure. I just wanted them not to exist anymore. That was my treasure. Them just understanding that they won't exist for an awesome way. That's all I actually want in real life. I just want them not to exist. Sometimes I just want them to stop existing or stop doing it, you know, whatever one they feel like doing. They just realize the error of their ways and like, wow, that really helped. I was being controlled by those people. Awesome. Good job, kid. Good job making the right decision. Now, you can go ahead and start realizing how fucked up and terrible regular people are. How much they understand that systemic racism is their actual normality. But in actuality, systemic racism is only the actual result of different things. And that's the reason why. It's because they used to slaughter people for a living. A lot of people in slavery used to slaughter people for a living. I have to understand there's a reason why a lot of people really kind of, the whole reason for the whole Civil War thing, and the whole reason was like, oh, I'm going to take up my country and I'll get my freedom and all that different stuff, is like, and then most of them didn't make it. So that's not just systemic racism, that's human sacrifice. So systemic racism would be the key, I mean, of like anything that was just like occultist, stupid motherfuckers like to touch children, and then people find out about it, they try to like bribe them, or if they can't bribe them, and they ruin their lives, you know. And once they bribe them, they're in the same boat as them some way, so they get almost the same amount of years in prison, you know. But whatever, that's cool. I did the front side 1260. Sometimes people are victims, you know. They're victims. They're totally victims. They don't know they're a victim. They're victims of circumstance. They're victims of the people they know, you know. Don't take everybody's story into account, you know. People understand that they're sometimes used in order to be able to make something seem a little bit more, you know, credible sometimes. speaking in like almost tongues, but what I'm saying is that there are certain things that are going to come to light to people, and they're going to understand that certain people were behind it. So, and they did bad things, and they did good things, and those other things will be evaluated by a court of law, and everyone will wonder why they're either getting a ticket out or they're being indoctrinated in the CIA version of literally don't realize that that's CIA or the America's version of human sacrifice. The CIA, because you'll never get out. You won't. You can't. It's impossible unless you have something on the CIA, and then that doesn't last for long because usually they just switch up their team members because the team members did something wrong, and that's the reason why they had them on something. And then they just keep going because they just don't give a shit. That's the reason why systemic racism exists. It's because of certain human sacrifices. People have laid their lives down on the line. If they weren't, they're actually. I'm talking about systemic racism as it's a product of ritual human sacrifice within the absolute occults and people who believe in terrible things that people don't understand. It's a product, and that's the reason why it's a product, because to instill fear. It's like that same quote from Loki actually even persists and makes actual real sense. It's the what is it? It's the silly game, the silly game of the week to instill fear, or it's the final trick of the week to instill fear. So it's like to instill fear in someone's life and make them think that everything around them is being tailored to their or fit to their need or their want. And people who have not had it like that or feel as though their freedoms have been always around them, they believe sometimes they can let those things go, or they believe that they shouldn't let those things go. And it's usually dependent upon the person actually making the choice around them, not the person who's actually running the scene. Because obviously there are clients and people who do things, and people who, once their secrets come out, either their trauma is turned into a secret that is like, just heard in whispers around the town or something like that. And this is kind of like that whole deal, this is kind of like the whole deal in New Orleans. It's like that's the reason why it's a shitty town, because people really do disappear here a lot, and no one says anything. There are no Amber Alerts, and it's really bad. And somehow there are people that are that get killed and get murdered, and somehow there's just mayors that go to jail and not literally public servants and stuff, and city council members just stay on the goddamn board, We gotta go to a different map. Let's go to West LA Courthouse. There we go. I wondered why the CIA stayed so secretive after a certain number of people actually did certain things and they got outed for the things that they did do and stuff like that. It just never really occurred to me. But that's what always happens. People don't get it. People don't get things sometimes. They don't understand what's happening around them. And the hard part is telling them and teaching them and letting them understand that there are bad people out there and they are around. So that's the worst part about actually telling people about their world and their worldview. And just that's the reason why I don't have one. It's because of this dark shit that I'm about to fucking reveal, I guess, and in a certain way, not really reveal, but just there have been certain cases where I've known that that certain people who were involved in certain things, not known, but I was told, I guess, by my dad mostly, and my dad would tell me a lot about what people were actually doing, the reason why they would constantly say to women that they weren't in control or anything like that, because they weren't most of the time. They were just having fun. They were just doing stuff. They were just living the life and stuff like that. But the point is, I think some people try to save people, I guess, and then they try to save people in like weird ways and shit. Like they try to save people to like hold them on the back burner for later and stuff. I just don't get it. I don't get what makes people think that somehow that's the reason why. And then my dad told me about the hot dog stands and the FBI system in the 80s, as people would be hanging around the hot dog stands and shit like that. And women, men, different people. The FBI was running the hot dog stands sometimes, and it's a bit of a stretch. I'm guessing that is a bit of a stretch. I'm guessing that is a bit of a stretch, seeing as how there were like dudes that I knew that were on the hot dog stands in the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff like that. I just knew that there were like people that just went out like and had fun and stuff like that. 16, 17, 15, 14-year-old girls. Sometimes they went out and had fun. Yeah, my sister did that too. That's the reason why I kind of got used to people understanding that my dad thought that it was too ingrained into what he thought society was and thought he couldn't change it. I'm guessing that's the reason why he did it. He did that, and I'm hoping that he wasn't a huge pervert himself. But that's the reason why I didn't trust my dad. So the reason why is because he told me these things, but I didn't have any context for it, so I blame my dad. So, of course, it's the reason why also that I was actually traumatically, almost completely raped by a woman who was in her 30s and I was 15. So. And I had to completely forgive and let her know that I didn't just blame her. I blame the systematic failure of her taking care of to actually take care of her. There were certain people like who believe that certain abuses are ways to raise children, and that's not exactly nor ever true. So, like I said, I will spank a child, but I will only spank him once and tell him the reason why I spanked him. I will not go ape shit on him or her. I will pop her on the butt a few times, and that's the reason why. Like, and she will go to sleep when it's 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. That's the reason why. Because I will not play with little children who literally want to just stay up and make me read books to them constantly. I'm not going to tell them about a story or anything like that, because I don't want them to have a preconceived notion about what the world is. No. I really don't, because I'd much rather have them have the real thing, which is the darker one, which means that occultists and a bunch of different people are literally trying to control radio waves, airwaves, a bunch of different stuff, and it's really kind of real. And I always wonder why there's no Amber Alerts in New Orleans. I always wonder. There's always Amber Alerts in other states. Not in Louisiana. So, it's just really, really hard to think about, you know? The hard truths that you realize that are just like conspiracy theories every fucking where. People who believe in voodoo and constantly drug motherfuckers into doing shit that they don't want to do. And then they completely and utterly black out, they do that same thing, and they get brought to jail, and then they're like, oh, it was because of this guy. It's not a huge conspiracy theory that's involving half of actual New Orleans government and complete and utter state-run, a bunch of different shit that people are just literally just watching happen for no reason because they just really like to see fucked up shit. Or do fucked up shit, so. Lobbyists that didn't give a shit about the actual rights of people, nor did they care about the actual people themselves in that government at all. They didn't even give a shit about Edwin Edwards. He went out of office. Was it like they were like, oh, we're gonna arrest him, but we're gonna arrest him in a month. And they told him what was gonna happen. They told him how it was gonna happen, and he was like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna go to jail, whatever. But his legacy lives on, and that's the reason why it lives on. So many people were accustomed to it. So many people were accustomed to kickbacks and different things that people just didn't give a shit about. All the things they don't want to give a shit about. I'm not going to always talk about the stupid shit that people actually got into, or the kids that came out of it, you know? You would think and understand that I don't give a shit about any of them, and I don't, but when they decide to present me with a notion of who they are, or an understanding of that they don't do certain things because they don't do that, then I take that for face value. I say, yes, of course. And this is the reason why I believe the exact same thing. Awesome. I'm glad we're on the same page. And then they seem to be a different person. And when they choose to be that different person, is when they're not around me. So they just want me to believe that they're a good person. So in situationals, situations, in situational humor, you have to understand is that I was also putting on a facade. I am a fucked up individual. I am a hurtful person. I'm very hurt. I'm very abused. I'm not like people who abuse. And you should have understood and realized that before you decided to go march along in hidden areas and do what you thought you wanted to do and say the words that you wanted to do and then hate the people you wanted to hate. Or destroy the lives of people that are like really, 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 really nice and just good people, and you just decided to ruin that because you just wanted to destroy something beautiful. And it's the reason why you got herpes. So, there are certain things I just really, really don't like talking about. But, yeah, there's a huge occultist following in New Orleans. And it's not just about tourism. It's not just about any of that bullshit. It's about literally taking advantage of people in their prime. And understanding that, yes, there are older women, there are younger women, there are a bunch of different people that actually do it. And when you find those people just, they like to say the weirdest, darndest things. Like and like, because every like, I think, everyone doesn't understand is a mission. They don't realize that I understand those things. They understand that lingo sometimes. It's not a game, it's their lives. And they are protecting it from everyone, all the time. The likes, the sorta, kindas, all those other different things. That's what I know. I've said it before, and I'm guilty of saying the same things, but I'm trying to hide the names, which I know. But understandably, I wouldn't be able to be put on what is it called? A stand, or a witness stand, because obviously I'm not capable because I'm schizoaffective. So then we're going to play it this way. The reason why those cameras on those satellites are so good is because they don't just take pictures. They take very, very close range video. A lot. And there are a lot of different people who really, really don't know how much trouble they're in. And I really just love saying these things because it brings you so much joy to know that their reign is going to end. This is like so great. I want to see it. I want to see the look on their face when they go to the jail cell and they're like, ah! It's like, awesome. Good job, guys. Glad to see you got it coming. And then their friends, they decided they have those little. Because yes, this could have ended with me on the stand. This could have ended with me saying that my girlfriend decided that she was a bitch and a mean person, and also a user and abuser. And that didn't happen because she fell in love with me. Didn't happen because she actually had feelings for me. And actually had feelings for her because she's a nice person. She wasn't a terrible person, although she did try, or one of her friends tried, to assume that I was a human beater, that I would hit people when I was angry. And that's the point, is I've never done that. And why would I ever do that to a woman who I was having a panic attack in front of and trying to say something because I couldn't think of anything. That's how bad the panic attack was happening. And probably I got drugged, maybe, at some point or another. But that's the point, is I'm just so effective now. So I can't go on the stand. I'm literally just inadmissible in court. But the point is that that was their only saving grace. That was their only saving grace. That was the only thing that was going to keep them out of jail, is me not being schizoaffective and me not having traumatic experiences in Mississippi and constantly being drugged and told that everything was okay or anything like that. But that's the point. And now that there's less cops, there are more ATF agents, and there are more DEA agents, and there are more CIA spies. Hope everyone deserves their lot in life. Hope everyone gets their lot in life. Hope everyone understands and deserves that. I just like, wow, I love them. I think they're great. You know? That's my dad, definitely. And that's where this ends, I guess. It just ends with just a cliffhanger. Because, man, do I love cliffhangers. I actually hate cliffhangers. But you know what? It's going to be concluded. It's going to be concluded in a wonderful little montage of people getting cuffed and cuffed and cuffed. And maybe shot because they don't want to be cuffed. You know, because that's the point. Is like, this is the reason why I mentioned that thing earlier, is because many times during crimes and lots of people who like to sell a bunch of drugs and bullshit, what they'll do is they'll launder money. And when they launder money, they use a bunch of people who like to touch little children. That's what they use. They use them and tell them to tell the world and people that they're good, that they're a good person. And that's why they do that, because they're finally doing something good with their lives. You give those people a purpose, awesome. But understandably so, that's the reason why they use them, so that if they ever go south or sour on them, they always have something to be able to blame them for. And that's the thing that has been going on a lot in New Orleans, and people have been hiding certain monies and different things like that a lot, and they don't know that they're being watched, because even in the most rural areas, they've been being watched. And I just want to see if they have any buried treasure or a dead body, like hidden near them or something like that. I know the occultist shit is happening. I'm not stupid. I know that some white people believe in this occultist bullshit sometimes in New Orleans. And I just want them to know that the satellites are watching them now. And there's no other things they have to worry about anymore. They're just going to come, they're going to say they have a warrant, and they're going to take you to jail. Doesn't matter how big of a house you live in. Doesn't matter how you try to escape, because they're going to surround you. I want to play that song eventually. Actually, here we go. I'm going to play it. Here we go. Nightmares. Let's go to YouTube. I'm sure you won't mind. What? That's the theme of this entire investigation. I mean, stream. I'm sorry. There we go. That's the reason why. It's because it's love. It's love. I love love. I love love. And I hate occultists. All of them. Because eventually they start sacrificing people in one way or another, you know? Let's go to... There we go. Where's Bo Burnham? Bo Burnham, come out with your hands up. Not hands up. Come on. Bo Burnham, we got you surrounded. There we go. Stuck in a room. Stuck in a room. Let's just listen to it. Let's just listen to it. Together. Alone. Forever.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google.
Google's in no way affiliated with me.
Most affordable plan for
But I don't care. Let's turn this up. There we go.
Trying to be funny and stuck in a room.
Oh, that's the cover.
There isn't much more to say.
Stupid bullshit. There we go. Stuck in a room. Bo Burnham stuck in a room. Overview. Lyrics. Here we go. Bo Burnham stuck in a room. 4 weeks ago. Magic sound. I'm sure we can get the rights to it.
Trying to be funny and stuck in a room. There isn't much more to say about it. Can one be funny when stuck in a room? Being in trying to get something out of it. Try making faces. Try telling jokes, making little sound. Yeah. I was a kid who was stuck in his room. There isn't much more to say about.
What? What'd you say? What? Is Sigmund here? Okay. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, we're fine. Oh, there it is. Awesome. Yeah, sure. I'll come down. So that's the reason. This doesn't matter. Because they had it all along. They had it all along. They had it since the 70s. Man. The end of serial killers, dude. It's the end. The end of it. You know? Constantly feeling worried in your safe home, wondering if people are going to break in, because, they won't most of the time. They don't know that people have like satellites everywhere now. Starlink is everywhere, so we can take all those pictures that Trump secretly put on them. And the Trump administration. It would be possible without the Trump administration. So there's your privacy, everyone. There's your privacy. Just wonder why they got your face on camera, Wonder. You are your own one-person bomb squad. You need to view situations and make yourself feel better, because people have your back. No matter if you think they don't have your back, or if you think they don't have anything, or if you think that governments are all out to kill you, but because they're not they're out to kill you. It's occultists. They're occultists, and they're probably sitting wherever they're sitting. It doesn't matter there, because they're going to die. So be yourself. Have fun. And my sexuality is none of your business. You know why? Because I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me. It really didn't matter at the first place. I never gave a shit in the first place. I never wanted a flag. I don't want to put a flag on my lawn, except the American flag, because they just live under that, and it's an idea that I live under, and I don't give a shit. The 13 original colonies, they were a good idea. You know why? They had order, and the rest of it was absolute fucking chaos, and there were villages with people who were murdering each other on a daily basis. All of them. Even the Native Americans. They were all slaughtering each other too. So realize that. I was like, oh yeah, the Americans were like our greatest enemy. But if they didn't come around, they would literally have murdered people. They would have murdered each other. They would have eaten people, and then it would have done the same thing in Africa, and it would have been fucked up completely. So yeah, some of them are still alive, and they're probably the better ones. So realize that systemic racism, as you speak of it, and all those other different things, are people who are terrible. People who sacrifice children. People who are allowed to live still in other countries. So some people shouldn't be allowed to live. And that's the darker take on it. It's the dankest, the darkest, and the unbelievable take on it, because some people do not deserve to keep living. Sometimes people will spin news stories to make it seem like something else is happening completely and entirely. And sometimes that's exactly what the CIA wants, because they don't want anybody looking at the people that they murder. No, right? So the next time you're in your van and you're getting ready to pick up a chick, just wonder if the chick knows how to break 13 bones in 3 seconds. Have a good day.